what you said, Aiden, about the body bad sort of mentality that seems super pervasive, right? This is when I was sort of like coming into the church and being very interested in it. It seemed like I was given two options by society. Option one was everything that has to do with sexuality, physicality, or whatever that is bad and that is dirty and that is gross. I need to avoid that. Very puritanical sort of, everything, right? And the other was this sort of the polar opposite, sort of like this Gnostic-y, like I can do whatever I want with my body. It doesn't even matter, right? I'm going to go, might as well live it up, YOLO, whatever. Why? Does anybody have any thoughts on why those seem to be our two options that we have right now in the Western world? I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. For like, this goes right to the superficial. Like, this is actually one of the first classes that we teach at the beginning of the year. It's a fast food gospel versus starvation gospel. Cool. And so it's the hedonistic mentality, which is the kind of just I have this desire. It's supposed to be good, instantaneous gratification, go, 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 go. Versus like the starvation diet, which is like, no, I can't trust myself. And like, I'm just going to stay away from it and like not even engage with it. And then, but that starts to like deaden us as well. Right. But we can't just sit here and like starve ourselves of our desires because they're really not bad. They're made by God. Right. And so when we start to starve ourselves, we can easily cycle between the two of them until like, we're not really sure who we are anymore. And we end up hurting ourselves, hurting others. And that's not like what we're promised for, but like, it's so much easier to just like feel that instant gratification or to even just remove ourselves entirely and distance ourselves than to try to like find something deeper.
And we're talking about theology of the body, which most people immediately assume is just like a sex class, right? Mm-hmm. But it goes into everything.
Everything.
It's not just your sexuality. You're talking about desires.
Everything. Yeah. Right. Careers even. Like all your relationships, like every single aspect of who you are. It's like totally rooted in theology of the body.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Got a complimentary view to that. So I like philosophizing over a good pipe. And one of the discussions we had very recently is like the human mind, the human heart was made for God, right? It was made for truth. And if you don't have a high principle to orient your understanding of the entire world, then like, what do you have? How do you make decisions? So when, as Nietzsche said, like we killed God in society, is no longer the highest organizing principle. Well, now what do you use to organize your understanding of how to live your life, how to spend your free time, what to do on a 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, as Father Branson loves to say. And I think that without God, the human mind orients itself towards an extremism. Okay. Because when you take an absolutist stance, like this is always true, that makes thinking and understanding your life very easy. Sure. So take hedonism, for example, where it's like, I'm always just going to do what feels good in the moment. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not hard to be a hedonist. You know what you want to do, like to always press the snooze button, to stay out late, to party, to do whatever your passions are directing you to. But by that same vein, it's always easy to say no, too. And I learned this lesson, ironically enough, through an animated television show called South Park. Where there was a dad in the show, one of the characters. The dad was struggling with alcoholism. And his solution to alcoholism was to just never to think about alcohol, never be in a room with somebody drinking, and just to take the polar opposite approach. And this little second grade kid says to him, like, Dad, it's easy to always say no. It's easy to always say yes. The hard thing to do is to exist in moderation, which gets into, there's a lot of theology and philosophy behind that. But in a really true sense, like there's a certain wonder about God that is the truth. And to make the proper decision, there's discernment, a lot of effort that goes into that. And it's a lot harder, which is why it's not as popular for people to default to. Instead, people want to do what's quick and easy, and that's to always say yes, always say no, and to not have to think too much.
Well, and going back to the extreme thing, too, it seems like, and this has gotten sort of cliche now, I've heard a lot of people say this, but I think it's worth saying out loud, we, as human beings, we all have religion. We're always going to have a religion of some sort. We're not going to call it that necessarily, but you're going to have something, right? Like Nietzsche, like you're talking about with Nietzsche, right? I'm filling that void with something because it's written on my heart, right? That there are principles or ideas or something beyond myself that I should ascribe to. And so we end up filling it with all these ridiculous, stupid things that make us, not in actuality, but in practicality, less human. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this clip. If you enjoyed what you're seeing here, make sure you go and watch the whole video. Down below, make sure you like and subscribe and share it with anybody else who you think might be interested.